right, it's time for some real talk. Your worth and value will not always be the same. It so much depends on where you're at, as a woman or as a person. But since we're talking Cinderella Strong talk, me to you. Let's talk about how this really works. I have an opportunity, working every day with women, to talk about a lot of different things. And so, when it comes to relationships and being a guy, I get a lot of guy questions. Why are guys this way? Why are guys that way? Well, it's not so much guys. It's really a matter of people, and it pertains to anything. It's not just women, but it's anything that is determined to have value. But in this case, let's talk about you and just the things I've heard be said. You won't have particular value to a certain guy or in a certain relationship because you haven't determined your own value. If you think about it like this, a car dealership or someone who puts a home on the market, they set the value for what the worth is of that home or that car. So if you look at some cars are more expensive than other cars. But that value is set by the owner. Now, if you set your value low, then you've allowed someone to just give you whatever, and you've determined that you'll receive it. And that seriously comes from a place of desperation. Now, I don't want to call you desperate. I don't want you to feel upset about that. But if you look at your life, and if we're going to be real, there is a little bit of that desperation where you don't want to be rejected. You want someone to have you. You're desperate to keep an image that you may be portraying. But on the inside of that, it's really pretty hollow. And so the desperation to keep an image, or the desperation just to have someone that wants you, causes you now to set such a low value that you take whatever is given to you. And that's the real issue. Because if you change the value, if you set the value for your life at a different place, let's say if you put a high value in your life, or if you determine that for your life, you have an expectation of certain kinds of behaviors, and you stick to that, because that's also the key. You can't set the value and then change it with every moment that is just here or there. If you set a value and you stick to it, then whoever then approaches you to be a part of your life or to have you in their life, they'll have to pay that price. So, if you go to some places, you'll notice they don't have sales. You may go to some car dealerships and they'll have a spring or summer sale on cars or whatever it is, end of the year kind of deal. But if you go to another more high-end dealership where cars are being sold, or if you go somewhere where cars are being custom made, they don't put those cars on sale. They set a value for those cars, and people, whoever would desire to have that, has to make the decision that I'm willing to pay that price to have that. And that's where you have to get to as a woman. If you don't set your value and say, I'm worth this, you'll always accept whatever comes to you. So if you want someone to send you messages, if you want someone to send you flowers, if you want someone to spend quality time with you, then you have to set the value for yourself to say, you know what, I'm worth this, and if you're not willing to pay this price, you can't have me. Now, you may feel like you're going to end up alone for a long time, but being alone or being by yourself and having that standard is far better than having that desire inside of you and selling out for a temporary fix. Because what will happen is, in that temporary fix, you'll be miserable. And so many people live miserable lives because they've sold out on what they really wanted. They sold out on their dreams. And when I say sold out, they haven't sold out meaning that they're giving their all for it. They've sold out meaning they've lessened the value of it so they can have something temporarily. And that's just not how great things happen. You can't have something great if you constantly minimize it and you accept what is average or what's mediocre. And you're worth more than that. So, as we have our Cinderella Strong talks, we're going to talk about some real stuff. Hopefully we have some dialogue, and you can talk to me and ask me questions. Not that I know everything, but one thing I do say is when women are talking to women, the one thing that'll never happen is you'll never have a male's perspective. And as a guy, I can say things because I'm going to look at a situation differently than you, and I may cause you to think about something differently just because I'll see it differently. And what it's all about is growing and developing and becoming all that you're destined to be. And in that process along the way, if you're able to restructure your mind and reshape your mind, then you're going to become stronger for it. The women that are around you will become stronger for it. And then ultimately the men or, the businesses or the schools or whoever it is that wants to be a part of your life, they'll become stronger because you're a stronger woman. And so I hope you enjoyed that little tidbit of a talk. Let's get the conversation going, and I'll keep doing videos. If you have things to talk about, you want to talk about stuff, then let's interact and let's talk. But that's just one of those topics that comes up quite a bit on why guys are a certain kind of way. And ultimately, what I have to tell you is that if a guy is a certain kind of way, or if you're in relationships with people and they are a certain kind of way, you need to evaluate you and not so much them. Because somewhere along the line, if you're honest with yourself, you're selling out. And you are lessening your value in order to get a paycheck, in order to maintain an image, in order to just kind of keep going along with status quo, not to ruffle anyone's feathers. You don't want to bother a person. So if you sell out because of that, that's on you. That's not on them. Because if you raise your level, guaranteed, one or two things are going to happen. Someone's going to step up and say, you know what, you're worth all of that. And what you're asking me for, I'll pay that price because you're worth it. Or, ultimately, if you set a standard and a person doesn't feel that your value is that high, they'll leave. And that may be tough, but it's worth so much more to have someone value you at the place where you value yourself than for you to value yourself at a certain level and then someone diminish you and bring you down, because that's ultimately what they're doing when they say, you know what, you're not worth all that. So have a great day. Value yourself very highly and know that you are indeed Cinderella Strong. See ya.